Welcome back to You Are Your Name. I'm your host, Daken Ariel. In this season, we're considering how 5 different topics relate directly to our names. These topics are our purpose, relationships, happiness, mental freedom, and mental balance. This relationship is understood through the 5 basic truths, which is the relativity between mathematics, language, name, mind, and consciousness. This second episode is on mental freedom and its relationship to our name and mind. Marlowe Shearing is our guest today. Marlowe is a senior instructor of Cavalier philosophy. She's a name consultant, and she brings a wealth of experience using these principles. Thank you for joining us, Marlowe.
Thank you for having me.
So, just to look at mental freedom from a different perspective, how does it relate to our inner potential?
Our inner potential is that spark that we draw in with the first breath measured by the month, day, and year. And it's a quality of reason. And reason is a bigness of concept or bigness of the energies of life, the truth of life. And that spark within then has no negative qualities. It is like an expression as mind grows of all the truths of life, flowing the energy of reason. So that spark within, that birth path quality, we call it a channel. That channel is, when we're born, an opportunity, and we're born into emotion. Our mind has to grow and discover and learn to think, learn the principles. And then that opportunity of the mind comes into play. And the mind is the discernment of reason and the flowing of that energy. If we, in our lives, think about how I feel and I think and I know and it keeps us in a realm of self where we're allowing our feelings to register on our solar plexus, be translated through our mind, and we project that as our thinking. Thinking really then is to understand and know the principles and be able to analyze our thinking through relating it to a perspective of the quality of reason. So how big is that thought? How reasoned is that concept? How intelligent is that in relation to the truths of life? And then mind goes upwards because there's a greater energy because of that bigness of perspective. And it is, as we would say, above self then, that we're not thinking from the point of view of I, but we're looking at life as an expression of an energy that we would like to be part of and flow through our mind, through our life, to add that energy of joy and expression of truth, that energy of being able to be a catalyst of happiness, expression, the joy of life, and see that bigness, that big quality. Earlier we spoke of social media, and it's designed to draw a man's mind into a sort of a eddy or current of unhappiness, morbid qualities, situations of emotional trauma, and it draws that mind into that eddy, whereas we're talking about mental freedom. And mental freedom then is when the mind can have energies of their own creation and have that energy of being able to lift, to see reason, and then express that reason. And that is when man becomes a channel. It sounds theoretical, and yet you know that when you live in self and feeling and there's situations that come along, it takes over your thinking. It becomes what you live, breathe, sleep, and eat for that period. We're teaching that mental freedom is when we can control our feeling, lift above the immediate, and look at life with a perspective of the teachings of the Keplerian principle.
One aspect of mental freedom, or one attribute, is really it's an evolution of mind. It's part of man's purpose to evolve back to a universal perspective. So you can't have a universal perspective without being mentally free. So really, mental freedom is the process of evolution of mind towards ultimate objective.
Yes, and you look again at that baby, it's only responsive through emotion to hunger, being wet. And then as we grow, we have schooling, education, friends, experience. But again, we're comparing from our feeling and what we absorb. Mental freedom is where we can learn to understand thinking and the expression of reason through understanding truth of principle. And then the mind can discern through perspective, through the tools of the standards of the Keplerian philosophy, the principles, and be able to use their mind to create goals and achieve those goals. And we're doing that through breathing, thinking, refining our physical body, and our mind then becomes an instrument. And as we grow our concept of life, then we can flow the energies of reason through our mind. Man is meant to be the steward of the earth, the expression of reason in life. And the only way that man can do that is by being able to discern that quality of thinking versus feeling. And that quality of thinking isn't the translation of feeling, it is the drawing of those universal energies through his mind and creating that expression for those energies of mind.
That's an interesting point. Really, when you think about thinking versus feeling, it's the difference between the positive, constructive expression of a mathematical quality of intelligence and the destructive quality. So, as you mentioned earlier, the one can be belligerent and dominant and self-centered, or it can be creative, original, and honest. And that's really how the mind is tuned, whether it's going to be tuned to the positive or the negative. So, really, mental freedom is living within that sphere of mental constructive qualities from 1 to 9.
You look at the 685 and they feel so justified in their thinking because life is wrong and it's not fair and this is, not right. And yet all those qualities, although you might be in the situation and see how that could be true, that feeling is tying that mind to being a responsive, reactionary individual rather than allowing the perspective to look up and see the reasons for the injustice and the reasons, and then be able to have a broader view. And it makes the mind less emotional, more able to discern truth. And the quality of reason is linked to truth. It's the expression of that biggest expression of truth in the finite plane. And that is what, when we take our first breath, that channel is supposed to be our job in life, our purpose, flowing that energy of truth into life.
The name of this podcast is You Are Your Name. So people are their name. They are this sort of embodiment of mental energies. And that's their life. They create relative to that name formula. They create the thinking pattern, the expression of intelligence. And so that is their life. But the point is that if we had the full balance of a balanced name and a balanced understanding of the principle, now they would be much bigger. They'd be a much broader concept of life. And it wouldn't just be limited to personality. It would be more universal in their thinking. So mental freedom is really a spiritual expression of mind. That's the key concept, that mental freedom isn't optional. If you don't achieve it, then you really haven't expressed your spiritual potential.
Yes, that minds are become involved in life and they're named my son, and now you're going to be named this name. And there's no cognizance, there's no awareness of the energies of mind or the development of a mind. People know they need a university degree, or they used to, and that would create their success and their opportunity. Man's responsibility in life is to express truth. And truth isn't in a book, and it hasn't been written in a book. Truth is a concept that we come to through thinking and discernment, through lifting our mind, through using the energies of reason. And there are principles involved, and those principles are the 1 to 9 principle. And so those energies that are used, and we analyze names and see where people draw their thinking from and that expression, those same energies are the energies of reason that we can become a part of and use and flow those energies through our mind to express truth in life.
That concludes this episode on mental freedom. Next week, we're going to discuss the question, what drains our mental energies? Until then, happy thoughts.
Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways we can help you. Number 1, the Balanced Name Recommendation Service. Join the thousands of others who have harmonized their names with their inner potential to improve their health, happiness, and success. Number 2, learn the principles of mental freedom. Participate in our online training program to gain the essential tools to create all the progressive changes you seek in your life. These proven truths will open up new perspectives and accelerate your attainment of health, happiness, and success. Number 3, let Kalex Solutions help you choose a balanced name for your business, because many business names are an impediment to one's overall business success.